biochemistry of DNA. We knew DNA was part of the chromosomes and they were felt to pass on the information, but nobody really knew the physical structure. And in 1953, these two guys, James Watson on your left and Francis Crick, a British guy on your right, proposed that the double helix was the structure of DNA. 9 years later, in 1962, they got the Nobel Prize for it. By 2003, we had mapped out the human genome. We knew every gene that human beings had. For 850 biotech companies, a screening test, the whole idea was to screen these little 2-year-olds' blood, and they could find out if you were going to get Parkinson's disease by the time you were 50 years old, or Alzheimer's disease when you're 75, and cancer by the time you're 62, and so forth. That was the goal here, but they could never quite get it done. Inborn errors of metabolism. Sickle cell anemia is supposed to be a genetic disease of the African American community and black Africans and black people from around the world. But I was finding it in deer and hummingbirds and in antelope and all these autopsies in these zoos. So I knew it couldn't be a genetic disease of human beings. I'm finding it in all these other disparate species. It turns out it's an inborn error of metabolism. Mom is missing something. When the hemoglobin forming cells in the bone marrow of the embryo is being formed, and the system doesn't form. And so the bone marrow is just producing imperfect hemoglobin because the equipment wasn't placed in there during that time of the embryo's life. Now, in white people, the same disease, as you might expect if it's not a genetic disease, it happens in white people too, but it's called thalassemia in white people. But you can't have a black genetic disease in white people, so it's a different name, same disease. That's how the geneticists kept power for 100 years. And then lactose intolerance is another inborn error of metabolism. How do you heard of lactose intolerance? Very, very common inborn error of metabolism. And the lactase enzyme, which breaks the bond between galactose and glucose to get the two separate sugars, the equipment in the intestines and in the pancreas isn't formed in the embryo's life because mom is missing something, usually zinc and folic acid. And so you can supplement with a lactase enzyme, something like Ultimate Enzymes, and then go out and knock yourself out and go to an ice cream party. Diabetes type 1 is another inborn error of metabolism. This is not genetic. It's caused by mama missing something. When the beta cells in the islands of Langerhans are being formed, you're supposed to have 100,000 beta cells to form enough insulin. And if she only has 10 instead of 100,000, you're going to get type 1 diabetes. Lipid storage disease, another one. This is one of those autoimmune diseases. It really is inborn error of metabolism. There's two enzymes missing. You can get fat into your cells, but you can't get it out to be used as fuel or raw materials to make hormones and so forth. And of course, you find all the information in these two books, Black Gene Lies and also Epigenetics. The death of the genetic theory of disease transmission. How many of you have heard of epigenetics? Okay, good. Epigenetics talks about potential. If you want to maximize your family's genetic potential for longevity, for health, you get them on the 90 for Life program. You have their genes, their DNA, their RNA, their telomeres, the little end caps in your chromosomes, everything they need to maximize your genetic potential for longevity and for health and fending off disease. And you will get that. I don't care if your grandmother lived to be 120 and she was a hellion. She drank and smoked and did drugs and did a lot of things you can't say in public. And she lived to be 120. Oh man, I got good genes. And you try to do the same thing. Bam, you're dead. You die of a heart attack at age 28. Well, she did all the bad things she did, but unknowingly she did good things, which we're going to get into. But you didn't do the good things. Black Gene Lies was commissioned by Pastor Creflo Dollar from Atlanta, Georgia, World Changers Church. Met him in 1991 through the auspices of Andy Young. We'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, his 11-year-old daughter at the time had terrible, life-threatening asthma. It was getting worse and worse. She was not responding to any medications. Now, most kids will respond to asthma medications. They're life-saving. Even though they don't cure the disease, but they are life-saving when you have a terrible asthma attack. But she was not responding. They warned Pastor Dollar that this was not going to be good. She was one of these kids that weren't going to make it. And so when they told me the story that she wasn't responding to medication, that means she wasn't absorbing it. She had a gluten intolerance. We put her on a gluten-free diet, got her on the 90 for life, praise God. In 2 weeks' time, her asthma was gone.